Stop
Mine.
it. Stop
Mine.
it. Stop it. Stop
My
it.
turn.
Stop
My
it.
turn.
Ah!
Got it. All right, well, hello and welcome again for today's episode of Mike Takes the Mic, a segment where I get to ask questions on your behalf of Headmaster Christopher Dyer here at Springfield, Virginia at Reborn Martial Arts, and pick his brain about martial arts, everything basically. So today's question is, your style of martial arts is heavily based on Kung Fu. Can you explain your belt system?
Sure. So going in the Wayback Machine, a lot of people are ask the question all the time about Kung Fu belts. They didn't have belts. Where's the belt come from? All this other stuff. So in history, there was Kung Fu sashes. People wore sashes as a way to hold their uniforms together. It's ways to hold their jacket together. And it's also, in martial arts world, everybody used weapons. The idea of doing martial arts without using weapons is actually a very modern, it's a clear sign of a peaceful time that you live in. When weapons kind of get outlawed, you're not allowed to have them, people start training with empty hands. So almost all martial arts had some sort of weapons training in it. And so the sashes were actually used to help hold weapons in place, conceal weapons, all this other stuff. So Kung Fu systems always had sashes. The colors, it was kind of individual preference, I'd imagine, since there was a lot of theatrical stuff into it too. There was an element of costume almost for, decorative belts or something that matches your wardrobe. And then moving to Japan, where we get most of our gis and our obis, our karate belts and stuff that we typically use, they had sashes and when in early karate training, they used Kung Fu sashes. They used Kung Fu uniforms because karate originally was Kung Fu, is what they were practicing, was Chinese martial arts. And then later on, they kind of moved towards the karate obi, or the outer belt that we typically think of as a karate belt now. Other systems started using it, judo, JuJitsu, all of these schools started using the belt because turns out they're really useful. They're useful for showing rank, and we were talking about this. The Japanese were heavily influenced by Prussian and British Navy, and they kind of liked the idea of, we can show rank, especially in like Japanese traditional culture. Rank is huge. It's the kind of part of the Confucian idea of people have their place in society, know what it is, and never break that. It's considered extremely disrespectful, rude to break that. And so a way that you can show rank achievement outside of the family or the clan or whatever it happens to be is a way of, by giving different belts, this person, despite their rank outside the dojo, is this rank for this reason, that they've shown some sort of accomplishment. And so that's kind of the history behind the belts. And again, people, I guess, found it really useful. I mean, you were in the military for a very long time. People knew in an instant what everybody's station was and who to listen to who. And so, yeah, ranking systems are absolutely important and useful for that. As far as how we do them and why we do them, it's that exact same reason. I can look around the room, say, white belts, I want you guys to go work on this. I want my black belts to go work on this. Everybody in between, we're doing this. Match up by rank. It just makes things flow a lot easier.
And that's because people of a similar rank are going to have a similar knowledge base. So and they're going to be able to interact easily with each other without, this disparity of, oh, I don't know that thing, or I haven't learned that, or, I haven't done that in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this comes up and comes to mind because I recently put on another white belt. Being white belt again for, I don't know how many times now, a handful of times I've had to put on a white belt again. And it's always this interesting thing of, I've been in position where I've gotten to a point where, rank whatever. When I was studying JuJitsu, we did it in T-shirt and shorts in my instructor's backyard. It was very informal. So we didn't even bother with belts. HEMA community, no belts. Obviously, we had a very open structure as far as leading and following in classes and people working on things.
HEMA being?
Historic European Martial Arts. So in that, we had a very clear instructor, but it wasn't, this person's in lead because they're wearing a thing. And so I've kind of been all over the place. And, I've had thoughts of, get rid of belts. I've had thoughts of belts are awesome. And I got to say, recently putting back on a white belt and being a brand new beginner, and it's just something that I had never experienced or done before, having that belt was huge, actually. I was actually really amazed at how, open everybody was, like the people that have much more experience in the style. And it gave me a very clear, I need to learn X, Y, Z to progress to the next thing. My goal in picking up this art was to get good. So presumably, all I need to do is follow this path, and I will eventually get good at the art. So it actually becomes a really, really great way of just follow the course. And I know that I'm going the right direction. And for someone like me, whose mind will go, and I mean, we've talked about this, an agent of chaos. I'll go in every direction and get lost in the weeds. Having that direction is actually really useful.
Now that makes a lot of sense. Having those discrete steps of those discrete knowledge bases. It's almost like moving from third grade to fourth grade to fifth grade kind of thing.
I was passed by on the way here a car that said, "Congratulations, graduated kindergarten." So didn't know they had kindergarten graduations, but
it's a thing.
It's a thing. It says step along the way, so you made it. You're almost there.
So, tell us a little bit about your particular belt. It's a black belt with a red border.
Yeah. So we in our Reborn Martial Arts, we kind of had a discussion. What do we want to do? White belt to black belt. That's an obvious thing. Progressions along the way. As far as instructor ranks. You're wearing a assistant instructor belt. So how we have this set up is red on top, black on the bottom. When you eventually test for the black belt in our system, we'll flip the belt over, and it should, the red signifies instructor, and obviously black on top means that you're a black belt level instructor. Red right now is red belt instructor or assistant instructor. And then mine simply is head instructor, chief instructor.
So just black belt with a little more flair.
Black belt with a little bit more flair.
So
yeah.
to set you apart from the other black belts in the class.
Yeah, I mean, we had discussed using pure gold, but I'm a fan of being very, very fast. So
it's gonna get heavy.
It would weigh me down. So that's why we decided not to go pure gold. So just a little bit of extra flair is kind of what we went with.
That pretty much covers most of it, I think. Any closing thoughts you'd like to set us away with?
No, I'm kind of curious what other people think about belts. If you've experienced belts, or if you come from a system that has belts, or you don't have belts, please put a comment below. I want to hear what people's thoughts are. Especially, in the American culture, we have this kind of nasty taste sometimes when it comes to belts. You hear the term McDojo or belt factory or any of those types of things. My goal is to never become that, but I think the belt system definitely helps. So put a comment below what you think, and I'm happy to hear it.
All right. Well, thanks again for viewing and watching us on this episode of Mike Takes the Mic. And once again, like and subscribe. And if you're in the area, Northern Virginia, come down and see us at Reborn Martial Arts, Springfield, Virginia. Thanks a lot. Bye. What style of martial arts? I just screwed that up.
Outtakes.